Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. MC-Mura here, and in today's video I wanted to talk about the top 5 characters with the best gameplay designs in my opinion. And remember, this is obviously gonna be highly subjective. Everyone is free to have their own opinions, and obviously you are free to disagree. Now, when I talk about best gameplay designs, what I mean is, do these characters bring something new to the table? Do they have a unique flavor to them? Do they do something interesting? And before we start with the list, I have one honorable mention, and that honorable mention is actually Dan. I think Dan is one of the best designed characters in Street Fighter V because he offers a lot of uniqueness to the game. Simply his V skill 2, the ability to cancel normals, the technicality of it, and the versatility is amazing. And it offers something new that no other character kinda does, right? Like, no other character in the game have anything that is similar to this. So it is a really unique mechanic, charging a fireball, and obviously a lot of the cancel, how you can play around with him. Even his V skill 1 and it being able to cancel, like, say, an uppercut into Oki. So, like, if we're talking about his V skill 1, he can do stuff like DP into Oki here. So that is very interesting. Both of his V skills offer something different. Both of them are usable on their own right. Both of his V trigger are usable on their own right. Most of his special moves have use. The fireball, the tatsu, the uppercut. So Dan is a really versatile character who offers a lot of technicality and a lot of unique ideas to the table. So for that, I do think Dan is one of the best designed characters in Street Fighter V. Now, let's start with our list proper, and the first one is gonna be Mr. Zeku. And Zeku, in my opinion, is how you should do a complete character. Now, obviously, there are many other characters in Street Fighter V who are supposed to be a jack of all trade or able to do everything. Character like Akuma, for example. In a lot of ways, Zeku is very similar to Akuma. He have a demon flip, he have the uppercut, he have a really good walk speed, he have 3 frame, he have a really good dash, mix-ups, etc. But the thing about Zeku, you don't get to have all of that at the same time, and that is what makes him interesting. You have to choose what set of tools you want to use at the given time, what set of tools are good in specific matchups, etc, etc, etc. So Zeku offers a lot of uniqueness to the table. He is the only really stance character in Street Fighter V, and again, you will find that both of his V skills are pretty useful, and both of his V triggers are pretty useful as well. So in my opinion, Zeku is a complete character done right. Not balancing by HP, balancing by player decision at which tools they want to have at any given time. He's a very strong character, but also because that you have to know what you're doing with him, he is a lot more technical than the average. For my number 2, it is gonna be Birdie. And I feel like this one might surprise some people, but I do genuinely think that Birdie is one of the best designed characters in Street Fighter V. Birdie offers a lot of uniqueness, and he is very versatile in how you can play him. You can play Birdie as a neutral whiff punish character, right? Wait for your opponent to whiff something, whiff punish them, and keep it going, right? One of the best things about Birdie is that he doesn't really play the dash hop jump game, right? Many of the neutral characters in Street Fighter V, like Karen, like Chun-Li, Vega, etc., they really have awesome dashes and awesome jumps, and Birdie does not really play that way. Birdie is more about just walking back and forth, positioning, controlling the screen with his long normals, and then with punishing the opponent when they overextend. And that, I feel, is very cool and very unique to him. Another thing about Birdie is his V skills, both of them actually. The first V skill is very unique because you can do a lot with it. You can simply build V gauge, you can play a wall, set up the banana and play a defensive playstyle with the wall and the chains, etc. You can set up the can and then go on offense with the can protecting you. So he does have a lot of uniqueness to him. The other V skill is also very interesting because let's say you do something like this, right, and just build it up, or then you use it like that and gain some space. So he does have a lot of uniqueness in how you wanna approach and how you wanna play him, and that is to me is very interesting. Also, his V triggers are actually really interesting as well because V trigger 1 not only gives him armor but it enhances his walk speed. And for a character who is really centralized around normals and with punishment, having a walk speed buff is actually a very interesting deal. Obviously, he gets a damage buff as well, so that is pretty nice. And obviously, V Trigger 2 enhances his hit confirms pretty much. So if he happens to land something, now he's getting a lot more damage out of it. While Birdie have all of this and while everything about it seems amazing, you also have to consider he does not have a 3 frame, he does not have an answer to cross-ups, and his heavies are with punishable. So he's a character who is really well designed, can be played in multiple ways, have really interesting V system both in terms of V skills and V triggers. He does have some Anga to him because of the EX Dolphin Dive and the EX Bullhead. Not gonna lie, these are some Anga mechanics to the character, but again, every character in Street Fighter V have some Anga, so I do honestly think that Birdie is amazing. He's a character that I would play if I was a bigger fan of the aesthetic of the character, but gameplay wise, I really enjoy Birdie and think he's one of the best designed characters in Street Fighter V. And now for my number 3, and this is one that I feel some people may disagree with, and that one is Poison. Poison is what you would call an anti-meta character. She's basically the character who's playing against the established meta. And generally the meta of Street Fighter, meta is like the popular way of play or the most optimal way of play. Street Fighter is dominated by characters who typically have amazing neutrals, think Karen, Kami, Akuma, etc. Typically they will have a really good attack like a crouching medium kick or some really good with punish tools. They will hit you once, combo into Oki, and then throw you and play a game like this, throw or shimmy, whatever, and then kill you, right? Either your character does that, or your character have what we like to call a tackle attack. It's like an attack that is absurdly fast, will knock down the opponent, and then you get the Oki. Think of characters like Balrog, Urien, etc. Urien is a mix of both, but obviously he's an extremely Anga character in his own right. So Street Fighter V is dominated by these, and of course a lot of quick dashes and a lot of jumps, right? These are the typical ways the character win or play. Poison is the character that stops all of that, right? She have her whips with the medium rate. Obviously the stance cancel is a very interesting tool. You have a prediction based anti-air in the heavy heart rate. She's a character who is really good at stopping the craziness. And this is pretty much what triggers people about Poison. She's a character who denies you to play the way you are conditioned to play because it's the most effective, right? And that is what turns off people. Obviously there is another annoying attack like the crouching heavy punch, so Poison in general is very good at playing against that style, right? She's a character who does a lot of damage and have some really good punishes. For example, a basic combo from Poison will typically lead into some sort of pressure, and again, people are expecting that a character who is designed to play against the meta is having some pressure of her own, and that obviously sends the wrong messages. The thing about Poison is, unless the character has these tools, she does not end up being a playable character. Let's take a look at one of the most recent characters, and this one is Rose. Rose, for better or worse, is currently a V-trigger character. You can play the zoning game, you can play the whiff punish game, you can play the crouching medium kick game with Rose, and ultimately you are a ghetto low tier Karen. Or you wait for your opponent to jump, activate V-trigger or activate V-trigger 1, throw a fireball, switch sides, etc. Rose ended up being a V-trigger character. Minat is a V-trigger character. Now, Poison also have a really good V-trigger, don't get me wrong, but the thing about Poison's V-trigger is that it doesn't give her a new tool. What Poison's V-trigger does is enhances what she was already good at. So a combo like that, typically like say this one, doing 186 meterless, will be doing a little bit more meterless, and obviously you get to add EX bar for added conversion. So while I do understand the frustration of a character like Poison, you also have to understand that it is important to have characters like her who can combat the general way the game is played. Obviously she does have some extremely Anga stuff on her own, the overhead, the jumping heavy punch. I do think both of these are extremely strong for her archetype, but still I do think that Poison is a character that is designed well to stop the craziness while also not being solely a comeback V-trigger character. For number 4, we're gonna talk about Mr. Street Fighter himself, and that is obviously Ryu. I am honestly very glad about Ryu's current position in the game. Ryu feels right now. He is a very strong character, but he's also one of the most fair characters in the game. If you really think about it, Ryu is one of the most strong but fair characters, and that is a very difficult balance. He now is a jack of all trades. He gets decent pressure like most of the game does. He have a good fireball game but not the best. His mobility is pretty strong but not the best. I could actually do a little bit of a nerf to his forward dash, but other than that it is fine. Again, jack of all trades, a master of none. Ryu also have a lot of versatility now in how you can play him. V-Skill 1 opens a lot of options. It gives you an answer to predictable attack or telegraphed attack, think like Mika's dropkick. The V-Trigger 1 gives him better fireballs, it lasts a long time, the fireballs knock down, he gets Street Fighter 4 links, right? And that's actually pretty interesting, no other character in the game have anything like that. Kinda like Chun-Li's V-Trigger 1, but not really, it works a little bit differently. So that is very interesting. He also now have a pretty good V-Trigger 2 and V-Skill 2. V-Skill 2 can be used for Oki because you get to complete the target combo and get Oki, obviously this activation as well. And V-Trigger 2 is the... well, it is the damage V-Trigger. You get to do a combo, right? And then finish it with this attack for a lot of damage and stun. But obviously mid-screen he does not really get super strong Oki out of it. If Ryu had Oki from this V-Trigger, it would have been completely busted, but because he doesn't, it's actually pretty fair in my opinion. Maybe the damage can be toned down a little bit, but still feels fair, again, in my opinion. Ryu is powerful, but like I said, the keyword here is fair. He's not a character who can have like an EX demon flip and instantly be in your face, or like do a trick into Raging Demon and unblockable command grab into a ton of damage. He will not do a YOLO DP that will lead to knockdown into low overhead mix-up. He is lighter on the Anga side than most of the characters in the game, while still being a pretty strong character, and that is a difficult balance to find in Street Fighter V. And for the final spot, the character I wanted to talk about is Colleen. And this is one that might surprise some people, but I do think she is a really well designed character currently. Colleen have a lot of uniqueness to her, and she have many attributes that no other characters in the game actually have. The first one is the Hail special, and the eyes is very unique to Colleen because there isn't really another projectile like it in the game, right? That appears at the opponent head, can be used in the neutral to get yourself some space, or obviously you can use it to negate a fireball yourself. So it is a very interesting tool and it's very useful for set play situations, right? It's a pretty amazing and unique tool. The other one is of course her counters. There is a low, mid and high versions, and these are fairly interesting because they require a correct read and require a very specific read. They are the type of tools where you have to know exactly what your opponent was gonna do, right? and obviously you get rewarded by a setup if you happen to guess correctly, so that is very good and again very unique for the game. She also obviously has the vanity steps. Again, not many characters have mobility based special attacks, there are very few and far between, and no one actually have something where like they dash backwards then forward. The momentum on the forward dash make a lot of combos that were not possible, a lot of set play that happens because of that, so that is very interesting. And the EX ones offer different invincibility windows. The heavy one can be kinda used more aggressively. She has the double jump to escape. So Colleen have a lot of unique tools that no other character in the game share with her. Also, she have a really good and interesting mid-range game. She's a character who have very good neutral, good pokes with the back heavy kick, crouching medium kick, standing heavy punch, good whiff punishes with the standing medium and the standing heavy. So she is a neutral based character with a lot of other unique options that no other character kinda presents in the game, right? In my opinion, Colleen was, in the previous season, she was a bit too much of a V-trigger character. This was pretty much the character, but I feel like currently, because the normals and the dashes actually consumes gauge, she is a little bit toned down, and maybe I feel like that made my opinion change on the character a little bit. She was a little bit too much of a V-trigger character, but now Colleen feels a lot more tight and a lot more well balanced and complete, I will say, right? It is a good change in my opinion. And that is pretty much it for today's video. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon page and the Discord server page in the description below. Thank you very much for watching and stay safe.